No one enjoys a visit to the dentist. It's one of those things you put off for as long as you can. And today I'm bringing you a wine recipe that will help keep the dentist at bay, or at least numb that pain so you feel like you don't need to go to the dentist. Today we are making a clove wine. This is a medieval heal-all that would keep the dentist and the doctor at bay. It's an analgesic. It will numb the pain of toothache and stomachache and any other type of ache that you may have. Partly because it's a high-strength alcoholic wine, and secondly, the cloves inside the wine offer a certain property that numbs pain. These little things, these little cloves, are fantastic. So for this recipe, the first thing we need is about 10 cloves, whole, not ground, and you want to shove them into a big saucepan. Job done. This wine really benefits from oranges. The flavour of the orange complements the cloves, and also historically, oranges and cloves are a classic combination. People used to shove cloves inside oranges to keep the plague away. That is why, as Christmas decorations these days, you still see people shoving cloves inside the skin of an orange as a decoration. It's that old tradition to keep illness out of your house during the cold months. Personally, I would rather drink it and keep illness away that way than having a smelly decoration in the house. So you want to chop 4 to 5 oranges. I'm using 3 small, 1 large, and squeeze the juice into your saucepan on top of those cloves, and lob in the chunks of orange as well. Also add the juice and the halves of 1 lemon. The acidity really works well with the wine. It needs it. It helps bring out all the flavours really well and binds it all together in the mouth. Tannin is pretty essential in the wine, so throw in 1 tea bag for the tannin. I like this wine to be slightly stronger because it's a medicinal wine and the clove flavour can carry a higher alcohol pretty well, pretty easily. So what we want to do is throw in to your saucepan on top of those oranges and cloves and the lemon and the tea bag, roughly 1.75 kilograms of granulated white sugar. No need to be precise to measure it out precisely. A few grams here and there will not do any harm at all to the wine recipe. Don't be so precious about your wines. No need to measure everything. This isn't baking, this is brewing. So pour in your 1.75 kilograms of sugar into your saucepan. And on top of the sugar, the orange, the cloves and the tea bag, pour over 4 litres of boiling water. Get that sugar all dissolved and working together. Get that juice all mixed in with the flavours of the cloves. Hot. Without burning your bloody hands. Right, 1 more kettle load and then we'll move on. And now we want to give it a good mix. Get that sugar all worked in to the hot boiling liquid. Already the aroma coming off the cloves and the oranges, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's delicate. 10 cloves for me is about perfect, but we can add more cloves to the secondary fermentation if you fancy a bit more spice. If you want to try it after a few days in the demijohn, have a small sip. You can always add an extra clove or 2 to the secondary fermentation process. But be warned, clove wine does take a while to mature. It's going to be harsh for the first 6 months, but after that it mellows out. So what we need to do now is get your saucepan with the 4 litres of water, the sugar, the orange and the cloves onto the stove. Let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once your clove and orange syrup has been simmering away on the stovetop for about 15-20 minutes, fill in your kitchen with festive fragrances and bursts of the festive seasons. Christmas every day when you make this wine. You want to take it off the stove and allow it to cool down to room temperature, which is where I am now with my wine. The next thing we want to move on to is scooping out all of those oranges and trying to catch each of those teeny weeny, tiny whiny cloves that are in there. If they get transferred into the demijohn, they will impart a lot of numbingness and cloviness and spice and kick into the wine. That is brilliant if you fancy that type of flavour in your wine, but I would suggest taking them out and then maybe adding a clove or half a clove later on during the secondary fermentation process. So scoop out all of those oranges and try to catch each and every clove if you can. With each and every clove hopefully out, we want to transfer this liquid into a clean, sanitized, sterilized demijohn. And I'm simply going to pour the whole lot through a funnel straight into the demijohn. Now I'm using a funnel with a type of mesh that's inbuilt into it, just to catch any of those extra cloves that I may have missed. If your funnel does not have a mesh or a sieve within it, you can always resort to using a pair of ladies or men's tights if you so fancy, just to catch any extra bits going down into the demijohn. As this wine has quite a bit of sugar, 1.75 kilograms within it, it does need quite a strong yeast to munch through and ferment all of that sugar and turn it into alcohol. Also, as the cloves are quite a strong flavoured, it can carry a strong alcohol flavour really well. They combine, they complement each other. So I'm using a high alcohol wine yeast by Cross My Loof, but you can use any wine yeast you fancy. But play around with the numbers, with the sugar to match your yeast to get your desired results. You don't be adding too much sugar and using a weaker wine yeast and you come out with a sweeter wine. The cloves do not work well with a sweeter wine. It needs to be dry, it needs to be strong, it needs to be the flavour of the cloves carry the wine and not the sweetness. So simply sprinkling your chosen wine yeast into the demijohn. If your wine yeast does not come with added wine yeast nutrients, you may want to add some wine yeast nutrient to the wine. The added nutrients will help the wine yeast do its job and munch through the sugar and turn it all into the alcohol which you want. And you do not want a stressed yeast because it's not in a suitable environment to do the job that you want it to do. As you will see, I have left a fair amount of headroom within the demijohn. This is to allow that strong wine yeast to work with all that sugar that's inside. So it's best to leave quite a bit of headroom so that it does not flow up through the clean airlock that you're about to insert. So insert your airlock and set this aside for 3-5 days for that initial fermentation to subside. And then once the wine has calmed down, top it up with warm water and then set it aside in a warm place to ferment. Once it's finished fermenting, rack it off, have a taste and see if it needs an additional clove or two in there just to boost the flavour. It probably won't, but it does depend on your personal tastes. Don't leave it in there too long though. The spiciness and the fire of the cloves does calm down and start to mellow out after a year. I know a year sounds like a long time to wait for a gallon of wine. This is one of the longer wines that you do need to pay attention to. But there are plenty of other, quicker, faster wines that you can make in the meantime, such as this wine up by here. And I will see you all very soon. You have a good evening now.